Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Legends of Signum II, Warseer, which is brought to you by Signum Games. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, and games generally run about 30 to 60 minutes. Legends of Signum II will immerse you into a fantasy world. There is no distinct line between good and evil. Signum is a world that survived a terrible cataclysm that changed the continent and almost killed the gods themselves. In Signum II, your squads of creatures fight under the leadership of your heroes. You, the players, recruit characters, take advantage of spells and relics, and use cunning tactics. And it's up to you to forge your own path to victory. Each miniature in the game represents a character with unique fighting abilities. And in this new version, the rules have been thoroughly reworked, and now you, the players, will be immersed in an even more rapid and bloody battles. Now using a hex battlefield that avoids the use of various in-game rulers to measure distances. And of course, you will still be personified by the illustrious heroes of the Signum universe. Also, how and when you summon characters to the battlefield is entirely up to you. The mechanism for preparing your battle deck has been greatly simplified, and you are essentially fighting with a fully assembled deck. The economy has been completely revised. The more cards you play, the more income you gain, making the game even more dynamic and intense as it progresses. City cards are now in your deck, and you decide which buildings to use and which to destroy to gain even more income. Your tactic cards no longer have a price, and the new battle system will make the game even more intense. Intelligence versus luck, cold precise calculations versus reckless bravery. Victory will depend on the number of feats you perform during the game, although it's still one of the main feats to defeat an enemy hero. The deck of feats makes your game more diverse and offers a new path to victory in every game. And when the feats deck runs out, the game is over. And like I said, there's a new hex-based system with tiles that you put into play. Now there can be scenario-based, or you can just randomly place these tiles into the world. But these tiles also have cards with potential benefits as you occupy the different spaces and move through this battle. So you've got like hills, which are the high ground. You've got forests, you've got altars, you've got catacombs, lots of different things, lots of potential for you to move around this world and use these tiles to your advantage. So you're going to be taking on the role of a hero. You have their hero card. Everything's very clear on these cards, which I love. You have your basic abilities, your ranged attack, you have your movement, and what your health is, all right here on the card. Quick and easy accessible. You see what you get to do in a critical success when you roll the dice. And there is 3 different types of dice. You've got bronze dice, you've got silver, and you've got gold. And you show what dice you'll roll on your attack. And there's really 3 different types of attacks. You've got melee, you've got ranged, and you've got magic. So it'll show here exactly what that character is capable of. And there's even cards in your deck that will help you upgrade the dice that you're rolling. At the bottom of your hero's card, you can see the name, obviously, a little bit of flavor text, and the faction. Faction is important, helps you in putting together your battle deck, as well as your characters that you're going to be putting into play to help you and aid you in battle. Speaking of which, character cards are going to look very similar to what you see on your hero card, showing you the different stats they have, showing you what type of attack, what dice to roll, what happens on a critical success, and also it's going to have a couple values at the top, which is very important because you have to know what value it is in order to put it into play. How much is going to cost to do so on the left and on the right. If this card goes to the graveyard, how much income you're going to get from this card. And really all the cards are going to have the same kind of, you have to pay a cost, or you can even discard a card to get that potential income increase. Next up, let's take a look at your feat deck. Now, you're going to be drawing these every round of the game. It acts like the timer for the game as well. And you can never hold more than 5, so you got to make some choices. These are going to get you victory points at the end of the game, and various things. They all say things like, play this card if. So maybe you inflicted 3 wounds in 1 round, or you eliminated an opponent creature on a hill, or you eliminated an opponent's creature in the forest. All these things are going to net you different levels of victory points, so these cards become very crucial, and you'll be able to play them immediately as you move through the game and do these conclusions that they call for. Also, along with your character and hero cards, I should mention there are minions that you can put out into play as well. And again, their cards are going to have similar effects and abilities on them like you'd expect. Now, other cards in your deck, the ones that I really enjoyed here were the different buildings, the different city buildings that you can put into play, doing some really powerful things. And typically you'll be using this ability, tapping the card, and then you'll refresh it at the start of your next turn. Things like that. And then of course you have your tactic cards, which again are 0 cost to put into play. And then you have spell cards, which are super powerful. I love this lightning strike one. I used it quite a bit actually. And then you've got relic cards, which might be my favorite thing. Putting multiple relics into play, giving you multiple powers and abilities, just upping the game through the course and bringing the hammer down on your opponent. Now let's take a look at your player boards. And there's 3 zones for cards. The far left is just going to be your deck that you're drawing from through the game. And then in the middle is the graveyard. And when cards go to the graveyard, it will increase your income level. Now, on the far right though is where those victory point cards will be placed once you've fulfilled what they call for. At the top of your board is where you'll be tracking all your income. You have your main income, and then you have prosperity. Prosperity is what you'll be spending every round. So at the start of your round, you will move your prosperity up to whatever your income level is. So you have those available points to spend on cards and put them into play. Now, through the course of the game, obviously this income level is going to increase. You can only have a prosperity level of 10, or income that you can actually use through the game on any particular round. But that income level can keep going up. And as it does, you'll see there's some card icons. When it reaches those card icons, it just allows you to draw another card. So it's still worthwhile to move it up to that 15 slot. But again, you will never be able to use more than 10 prosperity points. And those are the main things around your board. You'll see there's areas to place like your city cards and your heroes and characters, as well as the relics at the bottom and so forth. So those are some really nice aspects around how you organize your play area. So gameplay here is very straightforward. I love the fact too that they've really revamped this well enough that get new players in, maybe that aren't used to like wargaming, really easy to jump in. You have the beginning phase, you have your creature activation phase, and then the end phase. So beginning phase is really about untapping cards that perhaps you used, or effects, status effects that might be in play, things like that. But you're also, the key thing here though, is that you're drawing a new battle card and a new feats card. The creature activation phase is really the heart of your turn. You have so many things, and you can do any of these actions and things in any order you see fit. But as long as you have the money, you can put any number of spells, relics, or city cards into play, ready to use. And especially the city cards, they have an ability, you can use these cards right away in this battle. So it might make sense to do things in an order that you need to in order to activate and be effective on the battlefield. Other options available to you are obviously things like activating your creatures that are out on the battlefield, attacking your fellow players. And it's really very straightforward. You're going to be rolling dice to see what you do to them, and they'll put status effect tokens, damage tokens, critical effects, different things that get put into play based on how you attack and so forth. Using tactic cards, spell cards, all kinds of things that come into play with moving your characters around and battling on the battlefield. Now you can also summon or bring one of your characters out to the battlefield. Now you can only do one of these, and they don't actually activate. They just spawn to the battlefield ready for the next turn. So be choosy about where you place them and get them ready for that next round of battle for sure. And then feat cards that you happen to actually fulfill, you'll be able to put these into play as victory points that you can gather. So that's key as well. Those are the basic things you're going to be doing. And obviously, around what you're doing is the battle back and forth. You're going to be rolling dice, activating your different abilities, and always being mindful of the different environments that you're on and what benefits they might give you, as well as your city cards that are going to help and aid you. And in the end, you really hope that you have crushed your opponents and brought them to their knees. Alright folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form, so keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now with that said, I have been playing this off and on for a couple weeks, and I really like the changes that they've made. This has been much easier to jump into than previous versions of the game, and very accessible, especially for me and my family as we played through these different scenarios and battles. It was really fun actually, and the battle cards, very straightforward. You know exactly what you're doing with those cards and why you might put it into play. And of course, with all those cards, there's a whole set of keywords that you're going to have to be tapping into. You'll take a look in the rulebook, very quick and easy to access, and learn how those different keywords work. And of course, the miniatures are just amazing. Now, I had to assemble these. I probably didn't do the best of jobs, but I really do think these miniatures are fantastic. And the fact that each of these characters are unique and different between the different factions and how you might use them in battle. So folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it from me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.